Good morning, race fans. Chris Durrell here with Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports, bringing another DFS NASCAR live show. This week, we got the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm going to wait for a few more people to pop in here. Just want to know if you guys can throw a comment in the chat. Make sure you can hear me fine. Having some difficulties this morning. Had a Bluetooth headset. It's no longer working. So I'm kind of just using my laptop. I'm on the road here, so just using my laptop microphone, speakers, and thought I'd still try and do the show, provided everyone can hear me. So if you want to just throw up in the chat if you can hear me clearly or if it's working at all, I will continue on. Being on the road's tough when you don't have Bluetooth headset or a microphone anymore. So, you can hear me. Perfect. Morning, Liz. How's everything going? I've been watching some NASCAR this weekend. I wasn't able to watch the truck Xfinity race this weekend, which I hate to do because I love the triple header weekend at Bristol. It is an absolutely amazing weekend. It's one of my favorite tracks to watch NASCAR on before I even ever got into fantasy or betting or anything like that back in the day. It was Bristol was definitely my favorite, mainly probably because I'm a Kyle Busch fan. He is absolutely dominant here, or was. He's not anymore if you look at the track history or anything like that. So, I seen your comments, Liz, in chat yesterday. Or no, that was someone else. Sorry, talking about how Larson could pick up 200 DK points yesterday. That was absolutely crazy. So, Randall, good morning. Everything is good. Yeah, everything's good. Sorry if it's not perfect quality. I will have that fixed for next week, and I'm actually ordering a new mic so we can do a little bit more with these shows and stuff like that. But without further ado, today we're going to talk about some DFS. We're going to go over the cheat sheet. We're going to talk about practice, qualifying, track history, some track type history, which were a little bit lower on my list this week, and I'll go over that as well. We'll look at some bets, and then we'll build a lineup, look at some contests that are happening on DraftKings today. So with that said here, I'm just going to jump into the sheet and bring it up. I do have my core plays highlighted today for you guys, a few of them anyway. I've got a few more that I'm going to kind of decipher that I haven't really decided on yet, but there are a few that I have decided on. So I guess first up would be track history. As I was talking about before, Kyle Busch, he's got 8 career wins here. I think Denny Hamlin's not too far behind. I think he's got 4 career wins here. Hamlin, as you can see, looking at this race before practice and qualifying, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson were kind of in a tier of their own in my rankings. And as you can see with the overall rankings on the left here, they are still in a tier of their own, sitting 1-2. Started 3rd and 4th today for the race. Hamlin has won 2 of the last 3 races here. He's got top 10s in 5 straight, while Larson has 2 wins in the last 5 and top 5s in all of them. Their average finish is 3.3 and 3.8. Larson's been a little bit better in terms of being a dominator. He's got 535 laps led, and he's also got 107.6 and 107.1 DraftKings and FanDuel point average over those last 4 races, which would be in the next-gen car. So they're kind of a step ahead of everyone in terms of their track history. And as you can see, there are some other guys like Christopher Bell. He's got 4 straight top 10s here, 3 of those being top 5s. So he's had some success. Chase Elliott, 4 straight top 10s here. But after that, it's pretty up and down. It's kind of like a lot what we've seen in terms of the track history at Darlington, where there isn't really that many dominant drivers. Now, there's a few more here, like I just mentioned. There's 4 of them that have top 10s in all 4 of those next-gen races here at Bristol. So if we go over look at some practice and qualifying here. Actually, before we do that, let's go look at the track history, look at some correlations, some possible dominators. So the one thing we know for sure coming to Bristol, 500 laps, is that Dominator is most definitely going to be the core of lineup building today. You're going to want to get, if you maybe have 2 Dominators that you think are going to have a really good shot at leading, we're going to want to get those in almost every one of our lineups today. It's going to be crucial, and I'll show you why here. Kyle Larson won last year from the 2nd starting position. He led 462 laps from the 2nd starting position. I'm just going to go through the next gen here. Era, the last 4 races. So then before that, we had Denny Hamlin from the 3rd spot, starting position. He led 163. Ty Gibbs led 137 from the 19th. That was a little bit surprising, but he had a very good race here, 2024 in the spring. 2023, Only one race here. This is back when they were still doing the Bristol dirt races. So there was only one Bristol race for those 3 years, 2020 to 2023. Christopher Bell. This race, there was actually 3 drivers to lead 100-plus laps. You've got Christopher Bell, 187 from the pole position. You've got Denny Hamlin, 142 from second. Ty Gibbs, 102 from eighth. And then the race before that, we've got Chris Buescher, who won. As you can see, there's a little bit of place differential at the top with Buescher, Elliott, and Byron. And we've got Chris Buescher leading 169 from the 20th starting position, 143 from Christopher Bell from the 8th, and then Brad Keselowski with 109 laps led from the 10th starting position. So this one was a little bit different than the other Bristol races, whereas we didn't have anyone inside the top 5 lead those 100 laps, whereas before that, that's kind of what we've seen. As you can see, the guys in the top 5 that led down here early on, Almirola and Larson, I believe they had issues in those races. So those are the next gen. So we're going to be definitely looking for Dominator. So let's talk about that first. Let's go look at some practice speeds. Slide over here. And then we can actually go to the practice tab. These are the new tabs on the bottom. So if anyone's new here, maybe wondering what these 3 tabs are, I changed up the way we, first of all, it helps us in uploading and updating the practice and qualifying. It doesn't take as long. It helps me out a lot in my everyday life to be able to get that up in a timely fashion for you guys. Excuse me. And it's also a lot better from reading it, being able to decipher it, maybe grab some different information, see what the lap speeds are, how close drivers are together, that sort of thing. So as you can see here, Ricky Stenhouse led practice, and this would be like the fastest lap in practice. Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson right there, Chase Elliott rounding out that top 5. It's the lap averages. So over on this tab, it's not only showing the times, but then we've got the ranks. And those ranks actually come back over here onto the main sheet now, everything from 5 to 30 lap averages, so we can see it all in one place. So always looking for a car that has a good long run speed. And today, I think that is going to be Kyle Larson is going to dominate here as well. He's starting from the 3rd. We've got Alex Bowman on the pole. He showed some really good speed here as well. I think he can lead some laps early on, but ultimately I think Kyle Larson is going to get by him and probably be the dominant car today. So if I had to pick my top dominator, it's going to be Kyle Larson. I think he can get up there. And honestly, at 11,000, let's give him 100 laps led here, maybe 25 fast laps. That puts him easily. We only need 66 points. If he leads 100 laps, he only needs about an 8th place finish to be able to get you 6x return. So that return is going to be a lot higher. I think he's got 8, 9x. I think he can go out and dominate 200 plus laps again, like he showed here. He's kind of, to me, like the modern day Kyle Busch, where Kyle Busch back in the day, it seemed like he was top 5 or in contention to win almost every single Bristol race twice a year. He would race the trucks, Xfinity. He'd be doing the triple header weekend, nailing those down, taking the sweep, weekend sweep, so that sort of thing. I think that's Kyle Larson now. So Kyle Larson's definitely up there. For me, as my number 1 dominator. I think, like I said, Alex Bowman can lead some laps early. I don't know if he's going to ultimately reach 100, but he definitely could from that pole position. It's going to kind of be a battle, I think, between Bowman and Larson just off the start, because he was, from everything, 15, 20, 25, and 30, they were 1-2 in terms of the lap averages here. So I really like the way that works. And Bowman, honestly, at 8,000, at that price, doesn't need a whole lot. Like, he needs 48 points to give you that 6x. While if he only leads 50 laps, maybe gives us 10 of those fast laps, he's already up in that 7x range. So he doesn't even need to be a complete 100-plus lap leader, dominator, to be able to give you the value that you're going to need on DraftKings. So definitely like him. I like pairing those two. It's probably my top pairing. And if you want to just stay with the Chevy and stay with the Hendrick Motorsports stack, which not always into stacking at Bristol, but these 3 drivers to start the season have been very good. Between Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick, it's been a very good start to the year for those guys. And if you look at the standings, if we just slide over here and look at the average finish, yeah, we've got Hendrick Motorsports, and then we've got 2 JGR cars, and then Hendrick Motorsports. Kyle Larson's down there a little bit, but he's also got a win, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. So he's been in there as well. So I think stacking those 3 makes sense. Byron didn't qualify very well. He's 26th, but he did show in the long run speed, top 10 car, possibly pushing top 5, which we don't need that. I think anywhere between like a 5th and 8th place finish for Byron makes him viable and a nice DK points per dollar value. Even over on FanDuel, he is only 11.5, so he's a little bit lower in price there. We need a little bit better finish out of him to be up there on FanDuel. But one of my favorite FanDuel drivers, Joey Logano, in qualifying, he hit the wall. He had some really good practice speeds showing a top 10 car as well, but hit the wall in qualifying. He'll start at the back of the pack. That gives him elite place differential upside. And we're not looking for a whole bunch of place differential upside usually at Bristol. Now, there's usually some wrecks and things like that, lots of cautions that can push some of those. If we see a lot of, let's say, top half of the field cars start near the back, there is that potential that we could see 8, 10, maybe in that double-digit drivers getting double-digit place differential. And I think Joey Logano is kind of a lock here. 9,300 is a great price, but over on FanDuel at 8,500, he's going to be really highly owned over there as well. Wondering what everyone's top driver is and how they're going to be building their lineups today. Maybe what's your top 1-2 stack to go in the race. Now, the reason I didn't highlight Hamlin, Blaney, and Bell is because this track is so susceptible to giving us 100, 200 lap leader. Well, if Larson's going to go out and lead most of those laps from those guys that are starting top 5, top 10, I don't think there's really enough for Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, if they're not going to lead laps and a bunch of laps, to hit their value. So that's kind of where, if you're going with Larson, I don't think you can really stack them with a Hamlin, Blaney, or Bell. I think you really need to go down the board. And that really serves us well because, like I said, you've got William Byron with place differential upside, Logano with elite place differential upside. You got Alex Bowman, who doesn't really need to lead a lot of laps, but he's probably going to lead some early on. Like I said, even 20, 30 laps from Bowman is going to be good. And we're just going to go look at that here and just kind of see what that minimum is. Take out the fast laps altogether. Yeah, so if he leads 20 laps, we still need that win from him to get the 6x return. But honestly, if he gives us 40, we're looking at like a top 3 finish. And I think he's most definitely in that range where he can finish top 3. Going over and looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook here, just to kind of compare, he's way up the board. He's a plus 1,000. He's tied with Byron. Now, that has to do with track position off the start for sure, where he's starting on the pole versus Byron has to come through the field, which can add, it's a little bit tougher because these two are usually separated in terms of their outright win odds here. But looking at top 5 finishes at plus 135. Which is right up there, top 5 on the board. So I think that's definitely viable, and I think he can definitely lead 40, 50 laps and give us that. But yeah, back to what I was saying here. If you're going with Larson, you think he's going to be the ultimate dominator today. That kind of takes Blaney, Bell, and Hamlin off the board, at least in my lineup construction theory, for sure. But that next tier, like I said, gives you a lot of that place differential in terms of William Byron, Joey Logano, even Chase Elliott here. He's 4th in my model, starting 20th. Now, he doesn't give you the place differential upside as Byron or Logano. He doesn't have the same practice speeds as Byron or Logano, and that's why I don't really have him highlighted. He would be more of a, if you're building 20 max or you're getting up into the like the Millie Maker type things where you're going 150 max in the lineup, he would be a driver that I would try and fit in to keep Byron and Logano's ownership or how much we have him rostered down a little bit. So that's kind of the way I feel about Elliott here. He just, again, hasn't had the same place differential upside or the same practice speeds. But that kind of, I'm still not going to be off of him at all. So there's a nice little group of place differential upside guys there. Same with Ross Chastain, kind of a similar story. I do like Elliott more than Chastain. $1,000 difference between them. Maybe Chastain a little bit more in terms of FanDuel. That's just a really good price, but he is starting 35th and didn't really show much speed at all. He didn't get anything more than a 20-lap run where he was 17th and 18th and 15 and 20-lap averages. They could definitely make a change, but things haven't been, the greatest for him on the season, 4 top 10s. Not too bad, but only 1 top 5. So he hasn't really shown his ultimate upside here. He has given us a lot of place differential value in certain races because, as you can see here, his average starting position, 20.1, is just not very good at all. That's right there with Ty Gibbs. Now, Ty Gibbs qualified 6th today, and that's going to take him right out of my player pool. He did not show that speed in practice. I don't think he's even going to hold on to a top 10 spot, so he's kind of out for me. Kyle Busch didn't show great practice speeds either. Nothing more than like a 20th place, and he hasn't really been that great on the year anyway. He's shown some flashes of old Kyle Busch, and maybe he can do that here at Bristol. But the problem is he's got 5 straight finishes here, 5 straight finishes, finishing 20th or worse. That is pretty terrible, as you can see how good he was before that 2nd, 4th, 4th, a win back in 2019. So it's been 6 years since Kyle Busch won here, and he's got 8 career races. So not really going to be looking at him either. Slide back over and look at some more practice speeds and stuff as we roll down into some value plays here. Scroll past these guys. Bubba Wallace, he's got some nice, a nice starting position with some potential place differential upside. He's kind of in the same boat as Chris Buescher for me today. They're both starting outside of 20th, but neither of them showed a lot of practice speed. So I don't really know what to do with those 2 guys because I do like the tier a little bit lower. I talked about Bowman. We got Tyler Reddick and Brad Keselowski on both sides. I think I like Keselowski a little bit better. He did show some practice speeds, but he did not get out there past a 10-lap run. So very, very risky on Keselowski, which it always seems to be with Keselowski anyway. Tyler Reddick starting 27th. He looked like he had top 15, maybe pushing top 10 speed. I think at 8,200 here with Reddick. Let's go and look at that here. So 49 points is kind of what we're looking for. So we need him to get up. He doesn't even need a top 10, kind of between that 10th and 12th. If you can get a few fast laps in there or something like that, a 10th to 12th place finish is going to give you that 6x return on Reddick. I think that is definitely viable. He hasn't been the greatest here at Bristol, so that adds a little bit there as well. 20th, 30th last year, and then 15th and 25th in the next-gen car. So 15th is his best place finish, or his best finish in that next-gen car. Doesn't really make me warm and fuzzy inside. But going down the board here, looking at some of their value, I mean, Ryan Preece is going to be hard to get away from, starting 29th, and he has shown excellent track history here so far. He's had an excellent start to the year, very surprising. There for me at least anyway. Could have had a better finish last week, but started out really good and then kind of faded off and went back into the pack a little bit. He didn't show very good practice speed, but started in 29th. We don't need him to make a whole bunch of adjustments to kind of get into that 15th to 20th. Yes, SVG. So I haven't scrolled down that far yet, and I'll get there in just a second. Austin Cindric showed right around that top 10 speed there as well, starting 21st. So I'm definitely interested in him at 7,300 on DraftKings, 6,800 on FanDuel. 13th place, career best finish in the fall race last year. So if we could see something in that 10th to 13th again, I think that makes a lot of sense. Larson, or who's that second driver? I'm assuming that means Logano for single entry. Honestly, I don't mind pairing them together. If you're going single entry, I do like Larson, Logano, and maybe Bowman, or Larson, Byron, Logano. Maybe you can fit all 4 of them. I'm going to try and do that here shortly when I build out a DraftKings lineup. But scrolling down a little bit further for the value plays here, Noah Gragson starting 31st. Showed some excellent practice speeds. He was 3rd in 5, 10, and 15 lap averages, 6th and 20th lap averages, 11th overall in practice. So, I mean, a 15th to 20th I think is going to be fine there. John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer starting 32nd, 33rd. Both showed some good speed. Nemechek a little bit more. He extended his top 5 lap average run out to the 25 laps versus Custer kind of cut his off at 10, and then he kind of fell off. So a little bit more risk there with Custer, but again, they're starting outside of 30th. I think that can definitely make sense. Using one of them, maybe both of them. SVG, again, showed some excellent speed, starting 36th. His experience is why I have him kind of as a secondary value play behind John Hunter Nemechek, Custer, and Gragson. He did show top 5 speed. He was 6th, top 10 in 10 lap, 15 lap, 20 lap, and 25 lap. Very good to see. But again, there's a lot of risk with him when we're not on a road course. So he's going to be a little bit lower exposure for me, but I'm definitely going to have him in my player pool. And the same goes with Riley Herbst down at 5,300. So that gives us 3 drivers that I do like in the sub 6K range, 4 if you include Nemechek right at 6K. But these drivers had some really good practices now. The race is obviously going to be a little bit different than what we're going to see in practice for some of these less experienced drivers. But Herbst was top 10 in 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 lap averages, starting 25th. So he has a little bit less place differential upside, which is kind of like a buffer to me for value guys. I really do like seeing them start outside top 25 to 30, even outside the top 30, like we have with John Hunter, Custer, SVG, Noah Gregson. They're all starting outside 30. So I think Riley Herbst maybe could come in very low owned here as a value play. So if you're playing lots of lineups, maybe try and sneak him into a few to get you off of the higher owned Nemechek, Custer, SVG, and Gregson. I think that makes sense. There's a little bit of a pivot today. All right, so I've just posting here in the chat. That's our link. If you're not a member and you want to get a copy of our cheat sheet, access into our Discord where we have members-only channels. We've got NASCAR news channels. We've got news channels for all sports. We've got, I think we're covering right around 9 sports right now. College basketball being done. Baseball started up. Already talking college football in chat. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs are coming up here shortly, so we'll have sheets throughout the whole playoffs there for that. It's just track, like the colder track to start and then to warm it up for that Group B. Now, I really wish we could go back to regular practice where everyone's out there all kind of at the same time running, but I don't think we're ever going to see that. NASCAR kind of likes the way these shorter weekends go. So yeah, that's kind of you're deciphering between those practices, and that is maybe something actually, Andy, that's a good point. Something that I think we can analyze a little bit further. I don't have it on the sheet now. I'm not going to be able to get it up. I don't have that information in front of me, but maybe going forward, what I'll do is add a designation on here beside the practices, maybe somewhere right over here, or even over maybe towards the left, but somewhere indicating whether they were Group A or Group B in practice, just so that we can kind of analyze that. So thank you very much for bringing that up, Andy. And that's something I'm going to try and add to the sheet going forward, just as a designation, so that we can maybe decipher things a little bit more in terms of these practice speeds and who was out there early, who was out there late in the run, and that sort of thing. So thank you for that. So we're going to just look at some odds here, which we already did. Kyle Larson plus 285. He's definitely the favorite here. If I was going other than him, I do like maybe trying to get an Alex Bowman in there plus 1,000. I think that's a pretty good price for him, showing the speed that he showed starting from the pole. Other drivers, I think, maybe have a chance here today picking up a win. I want guys that are starting. You got Hamlin at 450. Blaney at plus 900. He just hasn't really been there for me. He hasn't really shown the speed. Hamlin is maybe someone that I would consider at that price. Bowman, yeah, but most of all, I think I'm going to try and look for some top fives here as well, kind of down in this range. And I think we can maybe go, I think Logano can probably get up there. Maybe Tyler Reddick. I think I'm going to throw some on him at plus 285. I think that makes sense. But ultimately here today, more than anything, I'm not going to have a whole bunch of bets. I'm going to have more exposure to the DFS side of things. And here's some contests that are up. The big one is the 350K Engineer, $15 buy-in, 100K to first. It's filling up here it's a little less than half filled up now. So by the time we get in there, I like going in the Chrome Horn, the $4 20 max. So we'll just kind of open that up. And then some single entries. I really like these $12 single entries. That's a pretty good contest, a nice payout with not a whole bunch of people. It's a little bit smaller one if you want to go with some fewer contestants or whatever. So we'll just jump into one of these and build one out here real quick and just kind of see where the money falls and stuff like that. Okay, so Kyle Larson. Let's go down and take Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, and Byron. 5,900. So then we're going to have to go down to some of those value guys that we looked at. which actually can fit quite nicely here. Like we can go SVG Custer fits in there. We can go SVG and Nemechek. So you got to take a risk with two of those guys in that 6K and below range. But you get two guys that I think can dominate. You can get two guys that have pretty good, Logano with elite place differential upside, Byron with still pretty good place differential upside starting 26th. I think you can really maximize your points per dollar with those four as a core. And if you just want to go three and maybe just go Logano, Bowman, or Byron, it makes sense. So just Byron's price starting from Bowman's price starting from the pole really makes sense at 8K because, like I said, you don't need him to get the 100 laps led to hit his value. If he can lead 40, 50 laps early on and then maybe Larson takes over, they finish 1-2 or 1-2-3 or that sort of thing, Logano can sneak up and get inside a top 10 and give you like 20 plus place differential points. I think you can really go ahead and get a lot of points today. Obviously, you're going to have to avoid some wrecks and things like that, but that's a good setup to give you a good predictor, a good projected day. And if you want to go maybe a little bit outside the box, let's go there and there. You can go really place differential upside heavy. Gregson, Reddick, Logano in there. What are some other ways you guys want to build, or do you have any other questions? I'm kind of going to wrap this up here shortly, but just looking at some final. I'm going to try and open a FanDuel on another tab here and build one out on there. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of leave this up here for now with the Larson, Bowman, and Logano. That would be my top three. And then we go Byron if we add him in. But again, that's going to be heavy stars and scrubs. But like I said, there's 3 or 4 drivers down there in that 6K and less range that make a lot of sense today. So we can definitely try and fit them in and build a lineup like that. Now, a little bit more balanced, I would maybe take one of these Logano or Byron out. Maybe if you're building 3 lineups, you go Larson, Bowman, Logano in one, and then Larson, Bowman, Byron in one. I definitely like that setup. And then maybe instead of having them, you can do them both in one if you're really feeling confident about those specific 4 drivers. So that's one way to build. I know some people don't, maybe they want to mitigate the risk a little bit. So they'll just kind of, I don't like doing that in 3 max. I'm kind of like, I want to go all in with my core of 4 drivers and then maybe just switch out the other 2 or 3 to have them in there to give me the best chance should that core of 3 or 4 go out and finish kind of the way that we're projecting, I guess, if you'd say that. So FanDuel, I'm still going Larson. And then I also talked about, Joey Logano, obviously that price is just, he's going to be very high owned over on FanDuel today. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Byron 11.5, Bowman down to 78. So I think you got to go him too. So very similar lineups here. It's just we don't have to go as much superstars and scrubs over on FanDuel just because we have those 2 prices with Logano and Bowman. Like that's crazy. So we've got Randall asking about Todd Gilliland here. So let's just kind of look at him. 36th in my model. Starting 30th is not bad if you think he can make some adjustments and kind of move forward, but he didn't really show much. It would have been nice to see him get into the 20, 25, and 30 lap averages because he did go from 34th overall, 32nd in 5 lap, 33 in 10 lap, and then he dropped down 8 spots there to 25th in the 15 lap averages. I would have liked to see the extension on that to see how that car doing on an extra long run, but we don't have that data, obviously, so it's kind of taking a little bit of a risk. So I don't mind it. I think he's going to be very low owned, something kind of like Herbst. Herbst did show better practice speed, but Gilliland did not. But starting 30th, looking for 6,200, I think like a 22nd place finish, I think is where we're kind of aiming for him. Let's just grab that and have a look. 37 points, 18th point place finish. So he's got to finish a top 20 is kind of what we're looking at. And I just haven't seen very much from him that suggests that can happen. So I'm off of him personally, but the only way I would really maybe try and get 1 or 2 of him would be in 20 max or higher contests. He has show in 2022 and 2023 with top 20 finishes, so it's definitely there. But that's kind of like his ceiling to me, is that 16th and 18th place finish, and that's kind of what we need today to be able to get to that 6X range. So it just seems like there's a lot of risk there for him, Randall. So I wouldn't blame you if you went to 20 max or more and you wanted to get 1 or 2 of him in there, maybe to get away from the 30-40% owned other value guys that are down there. So but he's not in there for me. Okay, I think we are going to wrap things up here. I'm going to continue with my highlights here. I think I'm kind of set for the day. I'm going to get a core together. I'm going to post that in our Discord chat. So pay attention to that. And if you have any other questions following the show, or if you're watching this as a replay, you can hit me up on Twitter at Jaeger_bumps9. You can hit me up in Discord or just comment in the video here, and I will get to your questions as well. And again, if you are not a member and you're looking to grab a copy of the cheat sheet, get into our Discord chat for all of our sports. I posted that link just above here, and that will get you over to our Patreon page where you can sign up for a one sport or all sport package, $10 for one sport, $20 for all of the sports. And I think, like I said, we're in that 9-10 sports right now. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, everyone. Oh, and it's Masters Sunday. Yeah, so enjoy watching that. I'd love to know if you guys think Bryson can take Rory down. I do want to see Rory. I would be happy with either of them winning, but I really want to see Rory kind of get that Grand Slam. So would love to see that today. Rory finally get that green jacket would be an awesome story, and it would be awesome for golf. So with that, enjoy Bristol, enjoy the Masters, enjoy the day. It's actually snowing here again, so I'm getting the heck out of here and going back home where there is no snow whatsoever. Have a great day, everyone. Peace.